County Sheriff's Office. This is one of the most heavily policed areas in the city. We have representatives of the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Office who are on contract with MTA that police this area. The MTA also has contracted with private security that polices this area. The Los Angeles Police Department, through their regular vehicle policing in the area, police this area, as well as a special bike patrol. We have a DVR system currently inside the premise. We have agreed to a condition, and we provided exhibits to this board last week showing cameras, high-definition cameras that we are going to place 2 at a time on each side of the building in conjunction with lighting completely surrounding the building. The lighting is going to average anywhere from 7 to 8 candle watts. I believe that's the term. So it's going to be very similar when you're standing next to the building or in close proximity to it. It's going to be very similar to the lighting that you are experiencing right here in this room. It has been our experience that, and this is also reiterated in a conversation with the Los Angeles Police Department, that a well-lit area that has sufficient video coverage, we're going to have 100% video coverage of the exterior of the building, that becomes a substantial crime deterrent. People by nature do not want to commit crimes in low-light areas that are being recorded by high-definition DVR cameras. And we're going to have signage alerting people to that surrounding the building. In addition, I'd also like to have the opportunity to indicate that I had an opportunity to speak with the Senior Lead Officer Kabunik this afternoon. I've had 2 opportunities to speak to him within the last week. I explained the conditions that the board had placed, the Plum Committee rather, had placed in their recommendation to the full board. He agreed with those conditions, indicated that he would not oppose the application. And one more point I'd like to bring up, I've also been working with the MTA, which I brought up the last time I was here. There are unimproved dirt areas surrounding the building which are on MTA property. The building, if you don't know it, actually is on the property lines. So we don't have any yard area around the building at all. The building being on the property lines, we cannot improve those dirt areas, which we were asked to do. MTA indicated they don't want any landscaping done. So I went back to the MTA within the last week asking if bike racks would be appropriate. Your former chairperson for the Plum Committee had indicated that they would like to see more of a bicycle orientation in the area. So we went to MTA, asked them if we could install bike racks. So that is a possibility. I asked about additional trash cans, again with MTA, that we can place around the building. They had indicated that is also a possibility. So we are continuing with that process. Again, we're in agreement with the conditions. We're in agreement with a security guard. I had an opportunity to speak to the business owner this evening, and there was a condition we were asked to respond to, a request that we were asked to respond to, and that condition was that we provide a security guard on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday evenings from 9 p.m. until midnight or half an hour after alcohol sales cease, and we would be in agreement with that condition. So with that, I'd like to make myself available for any questions that you may have, and additionally, I would like to have an opportunity to respond to any comments that are made. Thank you very much.
All right, so Council, he did agree to every single condition that was approved and came out through the Plum Committee. That is different than where we were at last week. So the one sticking point was the security guard. This gentleman reached out to his client. They ironed out the differences, and he has now agreed to all of the conditions that came out of our Plum Committee. So if we have any discussion, yes, Maddie.
I just wanted to ask, I didn't have a chance to ask last week, how many employees does this 7-Eleven have? How many jobs have been created? And is there a plan to add additional employees? I'm trying to gauge economic development and how many employees this store has.
The store has at any time between 5 and 7 employees at the site. It operates 24 hours a day, so there are different shifts. It's my understanding it's between 5 and 7 employees.
Anybody else have anything for this gentleman? Penelope, then Derek.
On the single cans, we never really resolved that, I don't think. But
The 22 and 24 ounce containers was voted on by the Plum Committee. The Plum Committee voted to support.
I want to know what the vote.
The Plum Committee voted to support the 22 and 24. We also had an opportunity to speak to Officer Kabunik about that very matter. He said that he would not oppose the 22 and 24 ounce.
Well, I spoke to the bike patrol at my police board meeting, and he was saying that since alcohol has not been here, the crime has plummeted to pretty much nothing. There was so much crime because of all the alcohol, and I'm opposed to any single cans being sold out of there. That's my vote, and that I can't approve it with single cans coming out of there. I'm done.
Derek.
Basically, what was it said.
You really don't supposed to respond.
No, it's got to be comment going from one side to the other, and then he can rebuttal.
I mean,
I'll make a comment to the entire board. I don't want us to feel like we won something by the 7-Eleven owner and the representative agreeing to the 3 days on the security thing. Two things. First thing, I think we should pay very large attention to Penny's concerns about the single serving sales. I mean, she has everyone knows her relationship with the police department. She has credible information. It will be a problem. And to reference a success from no sales and plummeting crime, I think that's something that we need to really take into account. Two, we had last meeting this gentleman tell us that hiring a security guard would bankrupt the business. Even 3 days would still bankrupt the business. Now this week we have, okay, we're willing to do that. So it doesn't seem to be like it's that bankrupting a business type of mentality. Again, we should feel like we won something, because I think what we have the power to do today is really, despite what the Plum Committee, I know they make recommendations, but we don't have to follow all the recommendations that comes out of every committee. We as a board still decide. We as a board still decide, and this is really a defining moment for us to clean up Van Nuys as an alcohol-free environment with limitations, with the exceptions of being restaurants and maybe pubs and stuff. But single serving at a 7-Eleven with only guards there 3 days out of the week, it's just unacceptable to me. I can't get behind it. I hope the board unanimously votes either for or against, but my vote is against unless single serving is addressed and we have 7 days a week security. If those two things are taken care of, then I can change my vote, but I cannot approve this in any form or fashion.
fair enough. Anybody else have anything? Candido.
Mr. President, thank you. Sir, you've done an outstanding job to really try to meet the needs of the community. We talked about going from single packaging to 2 packaging, 3 packaging. The issue is, as Ms. Myers has stated though, the crime has gone down. Just in the last 3 days, a lot of the homeless have been sitting around hoping that the store would get their license. You know, they don't seem to know that we're going through a process here. But if crime has gone down that much, I would hope that you would not only be, or 7-Eleven would not only be invested in the business, but in the community. And what this board is asking is for the 7-Eleven and this owner to be invested in the community. So I know that how many issues were addressed. You've made some leeway that way. You've given in on certain things, but the big issue about those individual cans, those go to the people that cause the problems in the community, and that's the issue for us. They're the ones, the homeless, the gangbangers, everything that which causes crime in this area and makes the area look bad. Believe it or not, can go to that one can because people are popping them and drinking them right there. And I think that Van Nuys deserves more. But thank you so much. You've done. I think we're close here. We're very close.
Mr. Cordaro is recognized. Thank you, Donna, though, for jumping in.
Once again, I mean, we discussed everything at the Plum Committee. There was one item that fell off the agenda, or the item of recommendations, but probably by accident. It can still come back to the board at that. The one thing again is, what I'm asking the board is how come the owner isn't here next to the representative that is here fighting on that behalf? I mean, I understand they might be out of town, whatever, but this is our 3rd or 4th meeting with this individual, and the owner is nowhere to be found. I don't know what the correlation is, why the owner isn't here to actually participate, because if they're going to sell in our community, we should kind of know who's selling in our community, who's owning the business, who we need to talk to as a community when there is an issue. Thank you.
I have public comment.
Donna, you are recognized.
I'm going to be a rare one here because I do believe in the single, selling the single beer, because that will make it a person so they'll buy a smaller amount. A person can only handle 1 beer. I think they should be able to buy 1 beer and not have to go to these other fancy stores who are allowed to sell 1 beer. I don't see why they can't do that. No. And though I wish the person who did, your owner did come down.
I have to disagree. You know why? You don't know how many.
All right, hold on. What are we doing here? You want to be recognized? You have a public comment on this? All right, you're recognized.
Okay,
Ms. Fogler.
Okay, the reason why I don't agree with it is there's no way of knowing how many beers they had. They can come back an hour later if the person changes shift. How would you know they bought a beer or not?
Correct.
Well, is it still able to buy 3 or 4 at a time?
No discussion. It's just a one-way conversation.
Very good, very good. Do we have anything else before we call for the question? Going once. Going twice. All right.
Read the question.
I have an opportunity to respond.
Yes, Mr. Paul.
Okay. Again, I appreciate Penny. I appreciate Penny Meyer very, very much. In the Plum Committee, I asked the question to Penny, do you want to see alcohol here at all? And Penny was very frank with me. Well, other people would hide their feelings. Penny is honest and above board, and had indicated she doesn't want to see alcohol sales here at all. With respect to the single sales, the City of Los Angeles, and we're going to recommend this as a condition also, will conduct 3 compliance inspections. Those compliance inspections will occur every 6 months from the time of the determination letter being issued and the effectuation of the alcohol at the site. In the condition, and I discussed this matter with Officer Kabunik, in the condition we're also going to require that the telephone number of the Van Nuys Police Department be located on the condition itself, be indicated on the condition itself, and it be indicated that the representative of the Department of Building and Safety or the planning department who actually does the inspection contact that senior lead officer and find out what the circumstances are surrounding the site. That contact could lead to a compliance hearing and could allow for conditions to be strengthened or additional conditions to be imposed or conditions to be actually removed. So what we're actually doing here is we're placing ourselves on probation. So it's incumbent upon us to act responsibly through the training that we give our employees, through the training through 7-Eleven, that we not sell to individuals that have alcohol on their breath, and not sell to individuals that appear to be indigent in the area, that look like they live on the street, because that will essentially lead to our license being taken away from us. So we will take it away from ourselves. And I'd like to also remind everyone in the room that these are limited term licenses. These are grants, these are not forever. The city doesn't do that any longer. What the city does, it gives you a grant for a specified period of time, not to exceed 10 years. That grant requires that you come back for either what they refer to as a plan approval, which in planning vernacular is an amendment to the conditional use permit in the city of Los Angeles. And it requires that a public hearing be held. It requires that it be duly noticed, that this neighborhood council be noticed, that everybody, all the businesses within 500 feet be noticed, as well as the police department. But what makes that hearing so much more important is that there will be on record inspection reports. There will be input on record by the senior lead officer after 6 months, after 1 year, after 18 months. So there will already be a record, there will already be a sense of what has taken place. And so a couple of the points I'd like to address. The crime in the area. I would like to have an opportunity, and I've asked this board in the Plum Committee on many occasions if they could share the information with us regarding crime going down, the statistics, give us access to some of these individuals. We have not been given access. We've not been given access to Sergeant Fisher. We've not been given access to any of this information. And I would really like to have the opportunity to speak to these officers also and find out exactly what the circumstances are rather than hearing it in a public forum. We've had more than enough opportunity. We've been here before this board since January of this year. I mean, you know, we've really attempted to be as open and honest as we possibly can regarding this business. We've answered all the questions truthfully and openly. We've made this request for information on several occasions, and the information's never been forthcoming. With respect to the owner not being here, I'll be honest with this board. I'll just be flat out honest with this board, and you may not like to hear it, but after last week, I counseled her not to come.
She was never here.
I counseled the owner not to come. You told her not to come? I told her not to come. I told her that I could handle this. There was a lot of aggressive questioning that was going on, and I did not want to subject her to that. I represent this individual. It's the truth. It's the truth. I represent this business owner. I have been here throughout this entire process. As I've mentioned, I have come, I have represented at many public hearings, as well as last week. I appreciate the emotion, I appreciate the frankness, but I just don't think it's for everyone, to be quite honest with you. And so I think that we have all the safeguards in place. We're placing ourselves on probation. I have spoken to the senior lead officer, who is the most knowledgeable in this area. with respect to crime that takes place in this area. He is the senior lead officer, meaning that this is the gentleman that actually does respond to the public regarding crime issues, regarding gang issues, regarding everything. And the senior lead officer is not opposed to this. The senior lead officer, I've talked to him about crime, I've talked to him about our selling single beers, had indicated the same thing, that, you know, if in fact you're getting these checks every 6 months, if they're contacting me or my counterpart or my successor, then we can do something about it at that point in time. And the City of Los Angeles has teeth in their conditional use permits. They have a checks and balance system already in place. And so to say that that is not the case, to say that the community is not protected, to say that we are simply going to act irresponsibly, I think is not correct. This is a very important matter to us, and we take this very seriously, and that should foretell the fact that we're going to continue to take this seriously. We're going to continue to act responsibly in this community, and we're going to continue to work, you know, with this community, with the senior lead officers, and work with the city regarding the checks and balances.
Yes, Penelope.
I'd like to.
I just have one comment. Are
Sure.
you finished?
Yes, please.
I think that my vote would be flipped around if, in fact, that owner had shown good faith from the beginning, when she owned it before it was 7-Eleven. That's where I'm having the big problem, because that place was out of control. Graffiti, people loitering, trash everywhere. She was the owner. She did not take responsibility. And to now say, and come back to us and say, she's 7-Eleven now, she's going to be responsible. I can't buy that, because as a good neighbor, she should have been responsible from the beginning.
That's new
Yes, it
information, we didn't know about that.
So, may I
Well,
respond?
that's where I have a big problem.
May I respond to that?
Well,
Yes, sir.
I have to agree with you.
She's the franchisee. She's taken over the business since 7-Eleven actually became the franchise at that location. Karen Hussein is in a partnership. And I went over this with the Plum Committee, and I believe that you were there, Penny, for this entire dialogue. But at the Plum Committee, we actually talked about how 7-Eleven interfaces with and how they are a partner. 7-Eleven has programs where they train the employees. 7-Eleven sends their own employees, their own corporate employees, which are not part of the franchise, to the franchise to make sure it's clean, to make sure products are fresh, to make sure that anything that requires identification